You're not helping.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam and welcome back to my road to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. With Final Reckoning coming to theaters later this month, I'm covering all the Mission Impossible movies. I have covered 1 through 3, link in the eye in the right hand corner. Go check out the playlist if you are so inclined. But for right now, it's time to get into the real stuff. My absolute favorite of the series, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This was released in 2011. It was directed by Brad Bird and sees the return of Tom Cruise, sees the debut and one and only appearance of Paula Patton. They need to bring her back, but we'll discuss that. Mm-hmm. Simon Pegg returns, as well as Jeremy Renner making his debut. And this tells the story of the IMF basically being blamed for something they didn't do. And the president enacts Ghost Protocol, which is basically like saying the IMF never existed, and if we do find someone from the IMF, they're going to jail. And so it's up to Ethan Hunt and team to find who is responsible for it. And so, yeah, this is my favorite of this series, which we'll get into. And to help me with that, I've got on from the Tremors review, Austin Pez Howell. Austin, how you doing?
That's what I'll forever be known for, Jacob, is the Tremors review. But yes, no, this one's also my favorite, Jacob, so thank you for having me. But we have a saying around the Movie Hero Network for both the Mission Impossible movies and the John Wick movies. What's the best one of each of the franchises? The last one I watched. I don't know. But in this case, I think Ghost Protocol is still my favorite, even after I've done a recent rewatch as well. There's just something about it, and we'll get into it, obviously. Just something about the style of this one, the way they amped up the action and really took it to the next level here and set the standard, I think, for what would be the back half of this series.
As I discussed in Mission Impossible 3, I feel like that was the end of an era. It was like the end of the original run, and from this point forward, all the movies go from strength to strength. And I don't think there is an out-and-out bad Mission Impossible movie. 2 is the worst one, but it's a lot of fun. Like I talked about in that review. It is up on the channel now. Go check that out if you are so inclined. But this is the one that I saw in theaters, like just as I was starting to get into movies about 2010, 2011. I had seen 3 in theaters, but I remembered nothing about it. And so 4 is very precious to me because it was like, it's the trailer I remember the most. It's the movie that I remember the most of. And just my biggest compliment that I can give to this movie is that it sets the tone and the pace for what these movies are going to be going forward. I love how this movie is close to 2 hours long, and it just flies by. It sets a relentless pace 100%. From the very beginning. When you see Hanaway get shot all the way through to the end, the movie doesn't breathe. It pauses, but it doesn't stop. And so it sets that pace that all the other movies follow after that. And I just love the spirit of that.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. And yeah, I think this one really, again, sets the template, like you said, for what they would do going forward in kind of a similar ways that the Bond movies work, and that a lot of these movies open up with kind of the end of some kind of mysterious mission. Like we talked about this one with the agent getting shot, the tail end of something that we haven't seen yet, that we find out later. We have a heist to kind of, set up the MacGuffin of the film, if you will. In this case, it's these nuclear codes, that everybody's after, for this device. And then we've got the big action, like epic IMAX kind of, set piece with the Dubai sequence, and the one that feels on kind of a grand scale. And then, I forgot the Prison Break as well, which is a lot of fun. We'll get into that. And then kind of a more, not like downtrodden finale, but I feel like the movies like have these peak sequences, and then we kind of bring it back to ground level almost for the very end to get back to the characters and some of those situations, but still with some flavor with like the car park fight, the multi-level sort of back and forth thing in India. So, but everything similar to James Bond. It's got like the exotic locales. It's got the great, filmmaking. It's got the stunt work that we come to know and love from our boy Tom Cruise, who just lays it all out there for everybody and doesn't care and puts a passion into it. But yeah, this one, yeah, like you said, the pacing is spot on. It's incredible. It goes, but you can't believe you're already to the Dubai scene when you get there. You can't believe you're already to the end when you get there, and it just goes by, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah, you touched on it already. We might as well cover it now. The stuff in Dubai, I'm sure, and I will, if there's ever like a best, like on the Movie Hero Network, like a best like action sequence tournament.
Yeah.
If the Dubai sequence is in that tournament, I'm voting for it every time because, like, the movies going forward after this just ramp everything up. Like Tom Cruise is holding onto a plane in Rogue Nation. He's jumping out of a plane, like, and nearly dying in Rogue Nation. But then he's jumping out of a plane, doing a halo jump in Fallout, and he's flying a helicopter.
He's learning to fly helicopters and hanging from helicopters, and he's jumping buildings. And the seventh one, he's doing these motorcycle jumps into a skydive. Like it's yeah, and we already see from the trailers for Dead Reckoning, he's hanging from biplanes, and doing all underwater stunts and all kinds of stuff. Like yeah, he's a guy who doesn't, who is constantly, I think, trying to one up even himself and push himself to the limit.
I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that the Dubai stuff with the Burj Khalifa still makes me nervous to this day. I can handle heights fine. Like, I'm not averse to them, but I'm not like in love with them either, but I can deal with them. Every time I see Tom Cruise step out like into that window and it peers down, I'm like,
yes,
nope, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. And just the fact the only thing in the movie that is keeping him from falling to the earth is these sticky gloves that are passable at best, and at worst, like one of them straight up short circuits, and he has to rip it off and throw it out. I'm like, you're ripping that thing off in this scenario?
Yes.
Are you mental? So it's a complete nutty thing. And then while all that's going down, the rest of the team are trying to figure out their stuff for the diamond exchange and the paper and the nuclear code exchange, excuse me. And then Jeremy Renner with the line of the movie was like, "Your line's too short." And Tom Cruise is like, "No shit." And it makes me laugh every time.
Your line's not long enough. No shit.
I was gonna say, have you heard a little bit about the story about Tom Cruise wanting to do this stunt and this being from his own brain when they're actually setting this up? He is told, because Matt Damon has actually told the story on talk shows where Damon, asked him one time about the Dubai thing, and he's like, "I'll tell you exactly how I did that, or how that came about." He said, "I had this vision for this shot of me like swinging on a rope, because there's sequences also where he kind of swings, from one side to the other. He's just these shots of me from above, swinging back and forth and whatnot. And I had my stunt guy who I've worked with for years said, you cannot do that. Absolutely. The studio would not allow it. The insurance will not allow it. Nobody will allow it." And he goes, and there's a pause, and he goes, "So I get a new stunt guy." So essentially he got a whole new stunt team that he worked with from here on out, that he's still working with now for the Mission Impossible movies, that basically his yes men, that instead of saying no you can't do that, are saying, have told him, how can we do that? Yes, we can. We got to figure it out, and then make it work. And yeah, the fact that Cruise does all this stuff, the only thing they use the CGI for is obviously whatever other harnesses, he's in, or cables and whatnot, to flash those out. But it's the amazing thing is in the wide shots and the close-up shots, it's all him, and he's doing everything. So he puts his money where his mouth is.
A part of this movie that I don't think it's talked about nearly enough is it's a little thing in the grand scheme of things, but it's the technology and how it all just doesn't work. Like everything from this will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Ethan has to go back and like hit the thing in order for it to self-destruct. The mask machine breaks. The gloves don't work. They literally have to go into the code exchange, hoping and praying that Leah Seydoux's character and Michael Nyquist's lackey have never met before. So there's a 50-50 chance this could go completely pear-shaped.
Well,
And it's
because
sort of,
also the mask machine breaks, so the mask machine doesn't work, so they can't
yeah.
put a mask on. Jeremy Renner gets found out with the contact lens, so like it's working, but the girl, Lea Seydoux notices him, doing the blinking thing at some point and sees the contact lens. Yeah, like I said, the glove, short circuit. I mean, it's like they have all this really cool technology, but it's the problems with it. But that's what makes these movies fun as well. Is almost inevitably in every movie there's a scene where they have a plan but then they have to improvise something at the last minute, and Tom Cruise has to come up with some kind of improv, or okay, no, we'll do this instead of, and Fallout, which you'll get to. It's the John Lark guy, he dies, so Tom Cruise just has to become John Lark, so it's the same thing. But it makes for great tension, and it's already a tense situation as it is, but amping it up even further.
There are also these little story beats in the movie that I just really enjoy, and I actually rewatched it on Michael Wolfman Wyndham's channel, Mega Movie Z, for a commentary. So I rewatched it and they're fresh in my head. I'm like, I completely forgot about that part. But there's Ethan Hunt's whole thing of he's back in the IMF. He and Julia have not split, but they're not together because he's like, I gotta be an agent, and it's a situation where it's like they're together but they're not, because if they are actually together then she's consistently in danger.
Well,
And
it's kind of a witness protection-ish sort of thing where she's they've probably changed her identity, she's off somewhere else with the new identity. And obviously after the events of Mission Impossible 3 where Philip Seymour Hoffman nearly murdered her, he's afraid that somebody else out there could do the exact same thing. So he realizes that that peril, that you can't have these kind of relationships, almost like in the Spider-Man film, something like that. If the enemies knew who you were, they could take advantage of that.
Yeah, Michelle Monaghan is in this movie for one scene. Same thing
Briefly.
with Ving Rhames, and like she shows up, she's there, she is canon, but it's like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. So there's connections between 3 and 4, but it's like almost like a soft reboot of sorts where stuff carries over, but not too much. Like, if that makes any sense.
Well, no, because we have the Simon Pegg carryover, who a lot of people forget was in Mission Impossible 3. He was just kind of a man in the chair kind of situation. He wasn't out in the field with them. This time he is out in the field with Tom Cruise, and they have amazing chemistry, by the way. This is where it really got, kicked into high gear, and their chemistry through all the movies is fantastic because, Benji, he is a smart guy. He is a capable guy who can get things done technology-wise, steps in for the action when he needs to. But just his back and forth, humor just really works. It's not cringy. It's earned. It's really good. But he's introduced Paula Patton, like you said, who this is her only entry here, and I maybe wouldn't mind seeing her, at least pop up in Dead Reckoning. We get Jeremy Renner, who pops up for this one and the next one. Less so in the next one. He's kind of a liaison, in the 5th one, just sort of a guy getting them some intel and whatnot. He's another guy who I would love to see pop up in Dead Reckoning at some point, even just a quick reunion, because I do think he's an integral part of at least this middle portion of the series, and I think he could play a role, in the final one, as like maybe they get some info from him or something, or he pops up, to help them out, with something, or give him, hand an envelope over or something, anything, just a little moment to recognize he's still there. And one of the people who we didn't get, who was surprised, it seems like we have a different IMF person every movie, because he had Lawrence Fishburne, who a lot of people forget is in Mission Impossible 3. Not that I do, I remember, but a lot of people forget that. And then it's like you get Tom Wilkinson here for like a minute until he's bumped off, and that's one scene, and that's it. And then we start to get like the Alec Baldwin and the Angela Bassett and stuff like that, who carry over here. And then we bring Henry Czerny back. So there's always kind of a different IMF person, head boss kind of tooling around these movies as well.
And like you were saying, like Tom Wilkinson is in the movie for literally a scene and then he dies. And the rumor and innuendo, to quote Conrad Thompson, is that after the results of Mission Impossible 3, this was kind of supposed to be Tom Cruise's last rodeo, and they were supposed to grandfather Jeremy Renner in as his replacement. And obviously that did not happen. Final Reckoning was very much Tom Cruise is like the face on the poster, like he is the brand. But it's interesting, like with 3, and myself and Jay Collins and Zach Sheldon, we talked about it in that review where it's like Tom Cruise was in hot water, he was in controversy, it was a whole big thing. I won't get into it here, but it's a weird thing to think about where Mission Impossible was like almost Tom Cruise-less. And I don't think we'd be sitting here talking about Final Reckoning if he wasn't involved.
No, I think it's the same thing that happened, if you remember, with the Bourne franchise, because, we had the 3 Bourne movies. And literally, if you remember, the Bourne Legacy was 2012. It's right after this, a year later. And also the 2012, what else was that year for Jeremy Renner? The Avengers, Hawkeye. So yeah, he's breaking out around this time. He's becoming kind of a new hot guy. I don't think he's broken through in that way really as much. He's been a solid actor, but I've liked him more in almost his smaller projects like a Wind River, type of situation. And he's been doing TV lately, which is cool. He still does the MCU stuff occasionally. But I like him more as kind of like a part of the ensemble more so than like the lead guy, if that makes sense. And it's not a disrespect to him. I just think he kind of works in that role. But I like his character here. I mean, I think, again, he brings a different dynamic of the secrets, as they're kind of revealed, and you eventually get the backstory here where he was with Michelle Monaghan and like kind of as a guard for her, and he screwed something up. He thought she was dead, and he thought he had messed up, kept this little secret from him. So it's a nice little reveal throughout the movie, and they end up kind of bonding over that later. So that's another reason I would like to see him come back, is maybe even like reunite all of them at the end. You know what I mean? Since they all have that connection.
Considering some of the real life stuff that's happened to him, I'm not sure if he'd be able to do it or if he'd be up to do it, but I would love to
I think
see
he could. He doesn't have to do anything action-wise. I don't see why he couldn't do just some kind of dialogue, centric, scene in a room. You know what I mean? I think he's up and about. He's moving around and he's working right now. So I don't see why he wouldn't at least be able to do that. I'm not asking him to do a gunfight. You know what I mean? Nothing like that.
No.
But to do have a quick reuniting and a quick dialogue sequence. I would like to see it personally.
That would be nice if that did happen. One of the things that people kind of knock this movie for is the villain, played by Michael Nyqvist. And I'll be perfectly honest, I can kind of see it, but the Mission Impossible movies have always had weak villains. They're like 2 good villains, Owen Davian and Solomon Lane, and the rest.
Right. No, I mean, and when you kind of struggle to even put a face to the villain in this movie. I think Léa Seydoux might actually be a little more memorable even than he is. For the most part, he had almost kind of how the White Widow even with Vanessa Kirby in these new movies has a nice kind of fun role to play around with. But yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. But I don't think it hurts the movie that much, just because we have so much going on with Ethan and his crew that I think there's enough, to carry the movie in that aspect, that you can have a slightly weaker villain and it doesn't really hurt the movie, because Mission Impossible 3 is not as epic as this one, but it has maybe a stronger villain. So it kind of balances out, right? With the Philip Seymour Hoffman stuff. So everything kind of balances out in the end, and it works, and you've got enough there to where it doesn't bug you. He's a serviceable villain for what he is.
Yeah, I feel like they did everything, like planned everything out except the villain, and they were like, go with the Russian. No one likes the Russians.
The Russian with the nuclear stuff. That's pretty standard stuff for spy movies, right? The Russian guy wants the nuclear warhead. Like it's pretty basic.
And I'm not trying to dish on the memory of Michael Nyqvist. He is sadly no longer with us. He had done great work. He was in The Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He was the father of the guy who stole John Wick's car in John Wick. He had a beard.
Yeah, no, he's got that great. No, I mean, he's forever etched later on as the guy who does the Boogeyman monologue.
We called him Baba Yaga. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking Boogeyman.
Yeah, in John Wick, he's the guy who sent to kill the Boogeyman. He's got that great monologue. So I mean, he at least got a nice, because he's not even a full-on villain in that movie, but I think he forever kind of immortalized himself with that one. I can't tell you how many TikTok videos I've seen where they put the text on the screen as he's saying it, as they're doing a montage of John Wicky kind of stuff. So he at least has that. So good for him.
Yeah, bless his soul. Like he was able to basically set the timbre for the John Wick franchise forever with that one monologue.
Yeah,
But
right.
here I just feel like he wasn't given all that much to do. Ethan and him barely interact in the movie, like minus the fight scene at the end. The closest they ever interact is in Dubai, and he's wearing the mask, a mask of his lackey. I forget his name at the moment. It's like
Yeah.
Whitmer or something, and I know I'm butchering
Yeah.
that, but they barely interact. And I think that's my one major complaint about a fantastic movie, like my one little tiny thing. The rest of
Yeah.
the movie's awesome though, so it's not enough to be like, oh, it's bad now. Like, no, it's just that could have been improved upon just a bit, I guess.
Sure. But I mean, again, it's a minor quibble, because again, the set pieces in this movie, I think, are what really carry it. I mean, and even talking about some of the other ones very quickly, like I said, we have a great, almost, it's not quite the opening of the movie, but essentially the Tom Cruise opening of the movie. The prison break is a lot of fun, where he's in prison for some reason. We don't know why he's in this Russian prison. And yeah, Benji doing the green light, red light, opening the doors for him, wanting him to take the easy road out, but no, he wants to kind of go grab this other guy, Sergey. He wants to go grab Sergey, and yeah, a fun sequence where the riot cops are in there, but he's opening up doors of big monstrous Russian prisoners, yeah, doing the spinning thing. So that's a lot of fun. We get a great heist again with the Kremlin, a nice tension sequence with the cool like fold out, screen, the portable screen that they use and all that, and Tom Cruise dressed as like this Russian general and whatnot. So again, that's fun, and yeah, the actual finale of the fight scene in the parking garage, but one of those unique ones where like the machine is like scooping the cars out and going up and down and all around, and this sort of little chase, for this briefcase. It's it falls down to here, and then it gets raised up over here, and then it slides off the car over here, and one of them has to jump down here and then jump on top of the car, and like it's just again one of those fun chases where the whole time you're just going like, oh, he almost had it, oh, he almost had it, oh no, he's gonna get it. And then even Michael Nyquist, the finale of that, just basically committing suicide with the briefcase to complete his mission, just straight up just taking a dive, down to the garage is a pretty shocking moment. And you even get the actual India sequence with the Bollywood actor, who is a guy who I recognize, who's been in a bunch of movies. So I was struggling to kind of try to look up his name, but it's a dude who you would recognize has been in like American movies, but he's a Bollywood actor as well, for a minute as kind of sort of a henchman. Yeah.
But and I love the bit at the end of the garage fight where Ethan opens the case and he's like, "Mission accomplished," and it doesn't
accomplished.
And he's like this in futility, just slamming on the button like it's supposed to work. Why
Come on.
And then
he's exhausted. That's all he wants to do.
And then the nuke has launched. It's nearly going to strike Seattle, and then when the warhead's deactivated, it falls and then it hits a building and into the sea, which leads perfectly into Rogue Nation with the congressional hearing and one of my favorite Mission Impossible lines, I can neither confirm nor deny any such activity without secondary.
Confirm nor deny. Yeah, and you see a lot of that in Rogue Nation as well. It's a lot of confirm or deny. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out his name. Anil Kapoor is the Indian actor. Most people might know him as he's the game show host in Slumdog Millionaire, is where a lot of people recognize him. He's the millionaire host. And then he was essentially Jack Bauer on India's version of 24. Yes, that's a real thing, 24 India. He was Jack Bauer. And then, yeah, he's a big Bollywood star. So it makes sense that he would, be kind of a showcase here in that sequence. So just want to shout him out. He's a good actor. He's a fun actor. He has his back and forth with Paula Patton is a lot of fun in that sequence. So, every sequence, again, from one to the other has a uniqueness to it. It has its own style. And yeah, the different types of action. It's not the same thing over and over and over again. So it always keeps you guessing and keeps it fresh.
Yeah, to put the period at the end of the sentence, I'm giving this an amazing grade. It's one of my favorite action movies of all time. It's my favorite of the series. I think it's the best of the series. I will hear arguments for like Rogue Nation and Fallout, and if that is your favorite, then by all means, you have my blessing. And I mean, those movies are excellent too. But for me personally, this just has everything that I love about this franchise
Yeah.
crammed into one box. It doesn't let
Mhm.
up. There's no downtime. Their backs are constantly against the wall. There's no. It seems like an impossible mission, and
Yes.
when they do succeed, it's like the biggest sigh of relief. There's big beats and small beats. There's funny moments and deathly serious moments. Everything you could ever want is in this movie somewhere. And Brad Bird, a director who doesn't normally miss, Tomorrowland being the exception. This
The
is on.
director of The Incredibles and Ratatouille, and then this is his next project. You wouldn't think, you know? I
Yeah.
remember even when it was announced, people. This is back when, I don't know if you were around, Jacob, for the days when IMDb used to have message boards at the bottom of the page. I don't know. Do you remember this at all?
No, I don't.
IMDb used to have a section of its own message boards for movies, actors, directors. Where I kind of miss it. It was like its own little Reddit pages at the bottom. But you know, I remember when this was announced and they attached a director, people were like, Brad Bird, like who? And people were like, okay, he's done the Pixar movies, cool, but the last one, it was like J.J. Abrams had done stuff, you know, it's like John Woo had done stuff, Brian De Palma, you know, these are all like named directors, and then it's like The Incredible. I mean, we like The Incredibles. The Incredibles is good. Ratatouille is good, but like, what's he gonna bring? And then of course they bring out the trailers and you see bits of this Dubai sequence and you go, okay, I think they're gonna nail it. I think he's got this. This is gonna be nuts. And I saw this in IMAX twice at the time, and I went out of my way to go watch it in a true IMAX. We had one called the World Golf Village right outside of Jacksonville when I used to live in Florida.
I've been there.
Have
I've
you
been
been
in
there?
that theater.
Have you been in that theater? Nice. I used to go to the theater a lot. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. It's closed. It went out of business. But yeah, I saw The Dark Knight Rises there. I saw Inception there. I saw Man of Steel there. So I spent many a time in some of the bigger movies going there. But I went there specifically to go watch Ghost Protocol because they had like the 6-story, you know, IMAX screen and the true stuff for those sequences. And yeah, it's breathtaking. It's great. So I'm glad I always had those memories of it. But yeah, if you didn't get a chance to, I'm sorry. I apologize, but it was amazing at the time.
My dad and I saw The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring in that theater. So
Nice.
I'll always have that. I could have sworn I thought we saw another big one. It'll probably come to me later. It always does. It's exactly when I'm editing. At this moment, I'll be clipping stuff out and I'll be like,
and you remember
that's what we saw. It always happens no matter what I'm doing. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of Ghost Protocol? Let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. And Pez, it's always a privilege to have you on my channel. You're one of my favorite people to talk movies with in any form, like wrestling too, yes, but like
sure.
talking about Tremors was always so much fun. Like that was one of my favorite videos of the year. I mean,
nice, man. Thank you.
I got the biggest Tremors fan that I know, so like that was an easy get.
Sure.
And then
right.
this one, I was like, pick a Mission Impossible one, and I was thinking that maybe you would pick like Rogue Nation or something. And then when you said Ghost Protocol, I'm like, oh, a man of taste.
That's my favorite. Yes, exactly. That's my favorite. Yeah. No, man. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. That means a lot to me. No, it's always happy. I'm always happy to talk movies with you, man. You know, Aliens is my favorite movie. So if you ever do that for any reason at all and go back and, you know, retro the whole series, you know who to call. Everybody knows I'm the Aliens guy. If you ever do Predator 2 for whatever reason, if you do a Predator series for Predator Badlands,
I'm actually gonna do a Predator series, so you know what? I'll keep you your pencil.
Keep in mind, I know, again, I'm the weirdo, so I love Predator. Predator is amazing, and you will find people who want to talk Predator. I'm the only guy who owns a Predator 2 t-shirt. Let's put it that way. So you know who to call for Predator 2.
I think Predator 2 is like mad underrated. Like
Predator 2 rules. It rules. It's awesome.
Me personally, it's Predator, Predator 2, and Prey, and then Predators I haven't seen in a while. I liked it fine. The Predator is horrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm just saying, if you consider doing that as a lead up for Predator Badlands, everybody knows I'm the Predator 2 guy as well. I am that guy. So I'd be happy
we're
to
technically getting 2 Predator movies this year, the animated one and Badlands. So there's definitely going to be Predator content on this channel.
For sure. But yeah, just throwing that out there. Keep me in mind if you do end up doing that. So there you go.
Yes, we will talk when we get closer to that date. But Pez, where can the people find you?
Yeah, no. I oddly enough, I will also be joining Wolfman for his Mission Impossible series on Mega Movie Z. I'll be talking about Dead Reckoning because that was in my top 10 of last year, or the year before. Excuse me. I really love that movie. I thought it was great. It's the longest of them, so that'll be a long watch along, but it's fine. It's not the longest watch along I've ever done on any channel. But yeah, you can mostly find me over on the Movie Hero Network. We have a Movie Hero Network Facebook group where Jacob posts some of his stuff over there, so you can follow that Facebook group and find everybody's content right there. Yeah, and on that actual channel, we do tournament fights, tier ranker fights, Wheel of Movies, Seen and Heard trivia, all kinds of different stuff over there. So you can find us there. And I talk wrestling on the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast. Jacob's helped us out once or twice over there as well. We've done some Rankum episodes and things like that. So you can go back to our archives to find that. And that has its own channel, the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast. So easy to find. But thanks again for having me, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, anytime. And all those links will be in the description. Go give them a follow. I've been on tournament fights. It's always a lot of fun. I haven't been on in a while. I've been busy. It's just.
Oh yeah, no, I understand.
That's life sometimes. But I want to get back on. But it just
we'll
scheduling. But go follow the Facebook group and go subscribe to all of their channels. Links below to go and do it. But as far as this series goes, we will be pressing on with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and I will have Kyle from Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13 to join me to talk about that. But for Pez, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.